This is Katie. In the previous lecture, we have started about the introduction to Python. All the topics which we are going to clear in this particular course, right? So in this lecture, I am going to make you understand that why there is a need of any programming language, right? Let us assume that you have a particular car at your home, but you don't know how to drive it, and right away you have your favorite car at your home. Like my favorite car is Audi, and you have your own favorite car. So you might not like it, of course. So in the same way, if you have a desktop or a laptop in the computer, but you don't know how to use it, then of course it's of no use. That's why, in the similar way, if I am talking about any programming language can be C, it can be C++, it can be Java. So, what do you actually mean by any programming language, right? You don't actually need to study the programming language just because you might land up to a very good dream job. You might go to a very high company. No, basically programming language is the most fun thing that you should know, right? So in the next slide, I am going to study about what are the reasons that you might know. See, programming language users are used to communicate and simplify the things. It is an interface between the humans and the computer. Let me make you clear this point. Let us suppose that we guys actually understand the Hindi, Punjabi, Madrasi, Urdu. See, these are the languages in which human talks, right? But if I am talking about the computer language doesn't actually know about these language, right? Computer doesn't know about these, but it only knows what the binary language, which is in the form of 0 and 1, right? So there must be an interface between the humans and the computer so that we can actually be able to make the computer clear about that language, right? So without programming language, it's just like we have the fastest car, but we can't drive it, right? So that is the reason. Basically, programming language is the most fun thing that anyone can actually have, and it's a fun thing to learn, right? Now we have a programming language, but why we need to study Python language, I will make you clear in the next slide, right? So now we have a question that why Python? You might be wondering that there is many programming languages in the world. We have C, we have C++, we have Java, we have R, but why we need to study Python? So many people will have different reasons for why we should study Python, but my reason is simple. That is, Python is English. And you already know English right now. I am assuming that you know English, right? So I'm not just kidding. I will show you that Python is English by using some of the simple facts. See. Let us suppose that we have a particular statement of hello world and we have to print that statement on our desktop. So in the three programming language, why we are studying Python, let me make you clear. First is the C language. If I am talking about the C language, then it actually includes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 lines of code in the C language, right? Just to print a simple statement that is hello world. In Java, it requires 7 lines of code just to print a simple statement that is hello world. But in Python, just as in English we talk that there is print hello world, in Python too, what we are going to do is basically it will just only print the hello world, right? So in the hello world command, since it requires 7 lines of code in Java, it requires 5 lines of code in C language, but in Python language, it requires only 1 line of code, right? So that is meant by hello world, right? Next is why Python, right? Python supports today's in every technology in computer science. Be we talk about data mining, if we talk about artificial intelligence, if we talk about calculations for websites, for augmented reality, in every field of computer science, Python is used, right? So basically, who uses Python? Python is used by most of the companies, such as if I'm talking about Google, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Mozilla, in Pinterest also we use Python. So basically, now I'm going to talk you that why there in the companies the Python is actually used, right? See, in YouTube, you might have watched any particular video on YouTube, right? So on the below of the video, you might have seen the share option, right? So in that share option, what actually happens that it programming of share option actually uses Python. In the Google browser, web search system uses Python. In Netflix also, it uses Python in its software infrastructure, right? So in every field of computer science, we use Python. And most importantly, the third point that why we use Python is that it is easy to install across all the platforms and it is easily integrated with any kind of software. What it means, like if I'm talking about Java, so while installing the Java, we require two types of variables, that is class integrated variables, the environment variables, and it may also take some time to install Java, right? But if I'm talking about Python, it doesn't require much time. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes to install Python. And at all the platforms, it is very easy to install it, right? So basically, we use Python for that purpose only, right? Not only just because it's English, it's basically only the last thing, which is also most important at the end of the week, what we really want. We actually want money, right? So how can Python help us grab the money? Well, you include it. Like learning Python, you will start learning it more than any other programming language in the world. C and C++, they both are different. Java is different, and Python is basically mostly English, right? In the programming language also, we use mostly English. Like we have studied the earlier example of Hello World, which requires only one line of code in it, right? And surely it will bring a great change on our resume. Like in today's era, as almost every field of the world, the online work is going on, right? So for demand of Python developers is also going. So that's why also you need to learn Python in today's era because it is going to have a very good scope in the near future. And by after learning Python, you can go to data scientist field, you can go to deep learning, you can go to machine learning as per your interest, right? And the third thing, if you want to start your freelancing in Python, you can also do that. But in this course, we are only going to study the basic elements and the data structures part, right? So bye bye guys. Thank you. Take care. See you in this next lecture.